The Masai Mara awoke in hues of gold. At dawn, the first rays of sunlight spilled across the endless savanna, painting the tall grasses with fire. The blades swayed and shimmered in the morning wind, bending like dancers to nature's rhythm. Hidden within this sea of grass, a family of leopards stirred from the safety of their thicket. The mother leopard, sleek and powerful, yawned widely, her whiskers twitching as her amber eyes adjusted to the light. Beside her, 3 cubs stretched, tumbling over one another in playful clumsiness. Their spots gleamed faintly in the dawn glow, the camouflage that tied them to the earth. Each cub had its own temperament, but the youngest was different. It brimmed with curiosity, always wandering farther than it should, chasing insects, sniffing strange scents, or pouncing at shadows. While its siblings practiced crouching low in the grass, mimicking their mother's silent stalk, the youngest often betrayed its position too early, bounding forward in bursts of excitement. Their mother never scolded with growls. Instead, she guided patiently, showing them the art of stillness, the grace of a shadow moving unseen. When the time came, she demonstrated the hunt, her body low, muscles coiled, then a sudden explosive sprint that left the grass trembling. The cubs watched in awe, though the youngest often leapt too soon, scattering the prey before success could be earned. Still, in its wide, restless eyes burned a desire to prove itself. That evening, the sky bled into shades of amber and crimson. The leopard family moved through thick grass to begin their twilight lesson. Mother paused, spotting a herd of rabbits grazing not far away. She signaled with her eyes in subtle movements. Patience, silence, timing. But the youngest cub could not wait. Without warning, it sprang forward, a blur of spotted fur crashing through the grass. Rabbits scattered in a flurry of white tails. The cub lunged, paws outstretched tonely to land on empty earth. Panting, it lifted its head, expecting to hear its mother's reassuring growl or the giggles of its siblings. Instead, silence pressed in. The waving grass revealed no familiar figures. Only the drone of insects and the whispering wind remained. Panic surged through the cub, cried out. A thin, desperate sound swallowed by the vast plains. No answer came. Heart racing, it bolted in random directions, crashing through dry twigs, trampling wild grasses. Each step carried it farther from home, farther from safety. The air changed as night deepened. The scent of smoke and wood drifted across the Breezelian smells, sharp and intrusive. The cub slowed, nose twitching, curiosity wrestling with fear. Ahead, the grasses thinned, giving way to strange terrain. Hours passed before it stumbled onto unfamiliar ground. Before its wide eyes stood wooden huts scattered along the edge of the forest. Under the dark red sunset, they seemed peaceful yet foreign. A narrow path wound through bushes leading into the backyard of one dwelling. The cub crept forward, drawn by the smell of meat wafted from the kitchen. Its body sagged with exhaustion, but curiosity drove it on. Wide yellow eyes darted, scanning for danger. It slinked into the garden, crouching low beside a wooden fence, hidden in the grass. Inside the house lived Peter Moinji, a middle-aged farmer with gentle eyes, his wife Amina and their 2 children. That evening, Peter stepped outside carrying a bucket of water, intending to tend his vegetable patch. As he pushed open the door, he froze. Just meters away, standing stiff with fear and wonder, was a leopard cub. For a heartbeat, time stopped. Then instinct took over. Peter let out a terrified cry, his voice echoing across the yard. The cub flinched, ears flat, eyes wide, and spun to flee. But instead of escape, it wedged itself between 2 wooden planks of the fence. A shrill cry erupted as it struggled, body twisted painfully in the narrow gap. The fence rattled, claws scraped wood, but it could not break free. Peter's terror wrestled with pity. His heart hammered, sweat dampened his shirt. Yet the sight of the trapped creature pierced through his fear. Trembling, he reached for his phone and dialed the Masai Mara Ranger emergency line. His voice cracked as he explained. "There's a leopard cub stuck injured. In my yard. Please, you must come quickly." The operator's calm words urged him to stay back, keep distance, and wait. 15 minutes stretched like hours. The cub wailed and thrashed, eyes shining with desperation. Peter could only watch, pressed against his doorframe, whispering silent prayers. At last, headlights pierced the dusk. A Green Ranger's pickup truck rolled down the dirt path, halting before the house. From it stepped two men, David O'Ketch and Jonas Kamau, seasoned rangers whose calm carried the weight of experience. They surveyed the scene swiftly, exchanged a nod, and set to work. David loaded a tranquilizer dart, lifted the rifle, and aimed through the narrow gap. A sharp hiss, the dart struck true. The cub growled weakly, then its frantic movements slowed. Within moments, its body sagged, breathing shallow but steady. Jonas gestured for Peter to stay back as he and David approached. Carefully, they eased the cub free, mindful of the bleeding scratches along its belly and legs. With practiced hands, they slid it into a padded cage, draping cloth over the top for warmth and calm. The truck roared to life, carrying its fragile passenger toward the Ranger Veterinary Station. The center bustled with quiet urgency. Two veterinarians, Dr. Ruth Wanjiku and Dr. Elias Barasa, met the team at the gates. The cub was lifted onto a clean table, examined under bright lamps. Antiseptic stung its wounds, bandages wrapped carefully around raw scratches. The injuries are superficial, Ruth concluded, voice steady. No broken bones. With care, it will recover. Relief washed through them all. The cub was placed in a straw-lined pen, fresh water and meat nearby. Beneath the soft glow of lanterns, it curled into itself, exhaustion pulling it into uneasy sleep. Outside, David and Jonas kept vigil. Peter arrived, drawn by worry and strange attachment. The three men shared stories through the night, their bond deepened by the life they had saved together. At dawn, the decision was clear. The cub must be returned to its family. The cage was secured once more onto the truck bed. The journey stretched across 20 kilometers of forest and savanna. As the sun climbed, the land unfurled in majestic splendor. Acacias stretching skyward, herds of wildebeest grazing, the endless horizon bathed in golden light. Finally, beneath the shade of a great acacia tree, they spotted them. A mother leopard and two cubs resting warily in the grass. The resemblance was unmistakable. The truck slowed to a halt. Silence fell, thick with anticipation. David and Jonas exchanged glances, then opened the cage door. The young cub burst forth, its paws pounding the earth as it raced toward the familiar figures. The mother leopard's head snapped up, eyes blazing with recognition. A guttural cry tore from her throat, echoing with relief. The cub flung itself against her, burying its head in her spotted fur. She licked its face, pulling it close, while its siblings bounded forward, chirping in joy. They nuzzled and rubbed the family knit whole once again. From their vantage point, Peter, David, and Jonas watched in reverent silence. The reunion unfolded like a sacred ritual, each cry and nuzzle vibrating through the air. The mother leopard lifted her head, eyes scanning the horizon. For a fleeting second, it seemed she looked toward the humans who had returned her child. Then, with a low growl, she led her cubs back into the grass, swallowed by the golden sea of the Masai Mara. Tears glistened in Peter's eyes. David and Jonas exchanged quiet smiles, their hearts heavy yet light. They had witnessed something rare and profound, the unbreakable bond of family, the resilience of the wild, and the fragile thread that connects man to beast. As the sun climbed higher, the three men stood together in silence, humbled by the morning. Behind them, the truck waited, its tires resting in the dust, ready to carry them back to human life. Ahead, the savanna stretched boundless, alive with stories that belonged only to the wild. And somewhere in the distance, a reunited leopard family continued its journey, stronger than before.